Hi, my name is Joe, and I'm here at Hi-Fi Corner. And today I cannot express how excited I am about what we had the opportunity to listen to and now present to you, the viewers. And also with us is one of Quad's most experienced service engineers, Rob Flane, to explain the new 33 and 303 Power Amp by Quad. This is not, you're not looking at the old one. This is the new one. We got sneak peeks at it from Munich's Hi-Fi show. And now we get to talk about it with Rob. Rob, welcome to Hi-Fi Corner's YouTube channel.
Great to be here.
Thank you for being here, mate. It's always a pleasure to see you. Can you give us a little bit of brief history of your own personal experience at Quad?
Of course I can. Yeah, I've been with Quad all my career. I started way back in 1983, believe it or not. I went straight into the test department where all the products for Quad were being tested. At that time, the 303 was still being manufactured and tested, obviously, in the test department. The 33 had finished a year before. I was testing the 34 and the 44 preamplifiers then. That was my role then. And then it was not long, a couple of years after that, I got promoted into the service department by then the service manager, Ken Bunting, who managed to do 47 years with the company. I was then servicing the 33 preamplifier, believe it or not, so the predecessor, the early one for that one. Also, I was looking after all the preamplifiers, servicing all the preamplifiers in the company. It was then 1995 that the Verity Group acquired Quad, and there was quite a few changes there. We then obviously had Wharfdale, we then had Mission. So we had more brands to look after and support. I was still doing the servicing side of it. We had a new service manager at that time that came along at that time. 2 years later, the company was taken over again by two Taiwanese brothers who were the main distributors for the Verity Group called Symmetrical. Now they started IAG at that time and they bought Quad and Wharfdale out of the Verity Group. So that's how it started. Now their plans were basically to make the biggest audio company in the world. So they went around acquiring UK brands and they acquired quite a lot of brands. It wasn't long after that I got promotion again to become the service manager. So then I was slowly supporting all the brands, obviously including Quad, Wharfdale, Mission, Castle, Luxman. There was loads and loads of brands, loads and loads of products. Obviously Quad going back to the 1960s with valve products. So it was very varied in terms of what we supported and what we looked after. I then, over the years, become the health and safety manager as well for the company. So I had a dual role where I was now the service manager and health and safety manager, and that's what I've still been doing today. So I still look after all after sales service, and I look after health and safety for the company. And I love doing it.
That's an incredible history, with the company, and it's very rare that you hear that people have stayed with the same company. So there's got to be something good going on with Quad and IAG over there. I mean, I think there is, especially with this. And it's interesting that you brought up that you started with the testing and servicing of the predecessors of the 33 and 303. So can you give me a little bit of history behind the 33 and 303, the original one, not this guy. We'll get to these guys here in a second, but if you could give me a little bit of history.
Of course I can. Well, the 33 and the 303 started manufacturing in 1967, believe it or not. We went on to make 120,000 33s and 94,000 303s. Now the 33, as I said previously, finished in 1982, and the 303 went on for another 3 years. They were such iconic products. They had this wonderful footprint, which they've still got, so you can tuck them in anywhere, which people loved. They were considered the Rolls-Royce of hi-fi at the time. They had wonderful performance, wonderful specifications. Everything about them was just first class.
So with that kind of like prestigious history, what kind of was the idea of, relaunching this? Now, don't get me wrong. I'm a hobbyist who absolutely loves retro kit. With modern interiors for modern type of performance levels. But what was the kind of why relaunch the 33 and 303?
Well, they were such iconic products, as I said. We'd had some success relaunching the Leak brand, which had been dormant for a long time. We'd started manufacturing a little bit in the UK with the Mission 770, which we've had major success with. The same with the Wolfdale Dovedale, and there's a few other products in there.
Yeah.
We introduced the Quad 2s several years back as well and had success. It seems to be the era of retro at the moment, and we was looking at what can we do for quad, and the 303 from 50 years ago, it just sprung to mind that it was such wonderful products that we could give them a reboot. We can, and that's what we decided to do. We knew we couldn't fail with these two particular products.
Yeah, no, it's definitely worthy of coming back. I mean, looking at it, I can see that the quality of the casework alone.
Yeah,
it's been a pleasure listening to it, and I look forward to testing it more. I look forward to testing the preamp on its own, the power amp on its own. But the combination between the two is absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
But so let's discuss a little bit about the preamp. I can see, we out of the box, for those viewers out there, you can see it's got the, it looks almost like you're looking at some new old stock.
Yeah.
Of course, the color's a little slightly different than the original, but it's an absolutely, just a very clean presentation. Like you said, it has the original footprints. Yeah. Can you explain, what kind of functionality that the 33 possesses? I mean, feel free to mention anything else, but we can talk about the functionality right now that the 33 preamp possesses with quad.
Well, we was looking long and hard at the 3303 in terms of its specification, its performance criteria, but we know this is technology going back to 1967.
Yeah.
So it's tried and tested. It was ultra reliable. It was very, very popular. Still is today. But technology has moved on. We've got a lot of experience over the years designing preamplifiers after the 33 in 1960. We've done numerous preamplifiers over there. So we've learnt a lot. So we knew that latest technology could improve upon the design, with modern day component parts. But also we had PJ Walker's initial design notes, which was great to look at. So we looked at the concept, his ideas, what he was trying to achieve, what he couldn't achieve because he didn't have the component parts to achieve it. What were the cost limitations for manufacturing?
Right.
What would he have done if he had not had an endless budget, which he obviously didn't at the time. So we aimed with that information, we clearly thought that we could produce it, modern 33303. But obviously maintaining the styling, so instantly it was recognizable as a 3303, as you can see.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And so we have some XLR inputs, outputs. We have a moving magnet phono stage, moving coil phono stage. Is there anything like some of the other kind of functionality or control aspects of it? So, I mean, let's first go back to the phono stage.
Yep.
So this which I'm a vinyl enthusiast. That's my main source when I listen. Yep. It's not for me. It's not streaming. It's vinyl.
Yeah.
And to hear that this has a brand new phono stage built into it that includes MC and MM. That is, for me, is an immediate attraction. Can you kind of go through the phono stage
going
with
back
us?
a little bit further, we had a lot of information coming back from social media. We have a lot of information coming back from emails, but more importantly, we have customers that visit us regularly, having the unit service. So we get to find out what the customers actually want, what they would have wanted in the units, and things like come up like, can I have moving coil with my 33? Well, the answer was no, obviously, in the day. Could I have a volume control? Well, the answer was no. Could I have headphone sockets? Could I bridge the 303? So we had a lot of feedback coming back from customers, face-to-face feedback coming back to customers. So we knew where we could go.
Yeah.
So hence back to the phono stage and adding moving coil. That seemed to be a no-brainer because that's what customers were requesting. Now, with the third phono stage, we didn't have to reinvent the wheel because we've got such good phono stage in our past preamplifiers.
Yeah.
What we did is we used the basis of what we already had, but we refined it. We use ultra-low noise op amps, the LT 1115 and the OP 275. We're very, very clear on the RAA circuitry, the emphasis circuit on there. We're very accurate on that. We always have been.
Yeah.
And we've always had excellent, award-winning phono stages in our preamplifiers over the years. And this is no different. So this is just another refine of what we've used in the past to very, very high standards. And I'm absolutely convinced customers are going to love the phono stage in this.
That's lovely. That's lovely, because I use the QC24P.
Yeah.
That's my reference phono stage.
Yeah. Yeah.
If it can't when I'm testing phono stages, if it can't perform at that level, no matter the cost,
Yeah.
then it's not worthy of my attention at all.
It'll be interesting, Joe, what you think about the phono stage against the QC24. Obviously,
Well, I'll definitely be testing
one's
it,
valve and obviously one's transistor with Alpants.
There's more. I mean, I definitely probably will be ordering this for my own personal collection. I've used quad for at least the last 15 years. There's always been a bit of quad in my hi-fi. Now let's just going over, there's some control aspects to it.
Yeah, there is.
And you mentioned volume control. What I think you were talking about was actually having a remote control here.
Yeah.
So a lot of customers were feeding back, we would love to have a remote with
most
our
definitely,
33.
most definitely.
So this is a very intuitive but yet simplistic control right here. It gives you literally all the functions that you could ever ask for.
Yeah.
So from the comfort of your seat, for someone lazy like myself, I need a remote. There's been other products that have been retro out there by other companies, and they left out the remote, and I think that was a big deterrent.
Yeah.
So that's great that you guys added
100%,
the remote capabilities. But going back to that, let me just put that there, is going back. So I know you used a very great volume control. I'm going to probably say this wrong, potentiometer, if I said that correct.
Yeah.
And then we also have what was base management. We have a tilt, which we'll need a little bit further explanation on that
we'll
later.
come to that, yeah.
And then we also have our balance control as well.
Yeah.
So talk to me about the volume pot.
Well done. Right, the volume pot was a very high quality Alps pot in the analog domain, controlled by the microprocessor, which is a giga device microprocessor, which is the heart of the 33, controlled in most aspects of the 33, to be fair. So the volume pot was a very accurate channel balanced volume pot, where there's very low differences between the two channels, where the original design, you could have variations between the channels, and sometimes the pots could be quite far out, especially at the low end, but that's completely solved. Shaft encoders for the balance, tilt and bass control, working again with ultra low noise op amps, OP275s, feeding back to the microprocessor. So with metal film high tolerance resistors in there, working on a negative feedback process in there. So all very, very accurate, very, very accurate indeed, and very quaddy, And as you say, a tilt control, which we will come to.
Yeah, just mentioning the tilt control. Let's jump into that right now, because this is something that is quite unique. If I might be wrong, but my understanding is it's quite unique to quad. It is a Peter Walker design.
Yes.
And can you, as much as I love quad, have used quad, I have never used a tilt control in my life.
Right, okay.
So when I was playing with this, I was experimenting, and it does make a difference, and you can really fine tune things. But can you explain what it does and how it works, and how someone out there, one of the viewers, can use that to refine the sound that they're getting in their listening space?
I certainly can. Now, the 34, as you say, was a PJ Walker. I don't think any other company have used it. It was definitely designed by PJ Walker, and it started its life off in the 34 Preamplifier, one of its predecessors after the 33. And it was a very clever design. Now, PJ Walker at the time thought that the current tone controls were either clumsy or inadequate for tonal balance. So he looked at it and he studied it very hard and what customers actually want to do. And he come up with a tilt control. Basically, it's like a seesaw around the frequency response at 700 hertz. So it's like as you raise the bass by 1 dB, you lower the treble, or vice versa. And it's a very subtle control. And so it allows for, say, if you had a a recording or a room that was analytical or over bright. That tilt control is superb. It doesn't alter the overall level of the performance, and it's not intrusive into the harmonics of the performance. It's just a very subtle, precise control.
Yeah,
And
it can really
I don't
fine-tune.
understand why no one else doesn't use it.
Well, it's kind of good though, in
Yeah.
a sense, because
It's unique
that would
to
draw,
us.
yeah, it
It's
would draw
unique to the
people
company, yeah.
to Quad. Now, just talking about kind of the internal, you have mentioned different capacitors and different components within.
Yeah.
What kind of sets the 33 apart from the competition?
Right. Okay. Well, this is obviously years of quad experience.
Yeah.
You know, we've got a team of R&D engineers that have worked with the company for a long time. We know what we're doing. We are quad, basically. We've used the finest materials that money can buy to generate, you know, the performance that we're looking for. We have the finest test equipment. We have hundreds and hundreds of hours of listening to the 33, loads of you know, iterations of the model as well before we get it right. I said we've got a microprocessor in there. We've got electronic switching, because that was a big thing on the 33. The mechanical switches tended to go noisy.
Oh, right.
Or
Okay.
if the customers were heavy smokers at the time, they would get coated in nicotine. So the electronic switches have solved that.
Right.
So
And is there a custom toroidal
there,
transformer in there as well?
yes, correct. There's a Noratel transformer in both of them, which is very very low noise, high quality transformer, and we've worked very hard with Noratel, and we've learned an awful lot over the last 5-10 years on the differences that a mains transformer can make. There is also 5 ultra low noise regulated power supplies in the 33.
Wow.
Plus, obviously, we've got rid of the 4-pin DIN and the 5-pin DIN sockets now.
Yeah.
We've gone RCA and we've gone XLR as well. So we've updated the the connectivity to other units as well.
Yeah.
So there's quite a lot of changes to modernise it, to reboot it.
You and the team that were responsible for the 33 and 303.
Yeah.
What kind of sound were you guys trying to get it to perform at? I mean, so
well, the 303. It's, you know, what makes it a 303. We looked at the specification of the 303 very carefully. We looked at its signal to noise, its cross talk, its THD plus noise, its frequency response. We looked at all the specifications of the 303. We looked where we can improve upon that. We have audio precision test equipment, the highest standard test equipment. So we ploughed hours and hours of looking at the specification, improving it with modern day component parts, and then hours and hours of listening. Like I say, we had a toroidal transformer in there, that we had several different types of toroidal transformers from the supplier before we settled upon one that just got the sound quality that we want. There's been a lot of updates in there, and we've also remained some of the original circuitry in the triples as well.
Right.
So we've maintained that, but we've redesigned the front end, the driver stages as well.
So it's, from my understanding, and we'll get back to that triples comment that you just had. But so when I was listening, it sounds like quad.
Yeah.
It is a quad, but it seems, and I don't know how you guys have done it. Of course, I'm not an electrical engineer, or am I a service engineer, or any type of engineer. I am literally just a hobbyist and happen to work in a beautiful hi-fi shop.
Yeah, you're very lucky.
You know, yeah, I am very lucky.
Yeah.
I do count my blessings every day.
Yeah.
You know, you get a nerd out when you go to work, but it was subtle but yet powerful.
Yes.
It wasn't, and that to me is what's beautiful about quad amplification.
Yeah.
The presentation it draws you in. Instead of grabbing you by the shirt collar, it draws you in for a long listening session. Probably one of the reasons why I've always had quad in my hi-fi of some sort or another.
Yeah.
But you mentioned, why did quad use this symmetrical triples?
Well, at the time, it was very hard to have complementary NPN transistors in the output stage. So, you know, we obviously, modern day component parts allow us to make improvements. But that was the design that PJ Walker chose upon because it was a very linear design and it was a very dynamic amplifier. It delivered the results that he was looking for.
Right.
So and the 303 was synonymous with the triple circuit, so we thought we had to incorporate that into the 303 to give it that 303 identity, basically, but with obviously a modern, fresh approach.
So it's basically reducing the distortion to the lowest possible level without losing any stability across all dynamic ranges.
That is correct. So that you set the crescent current up, and it's completely independent of the temperature on the output transistors. So the crescent current is very stable.
Yeah.
And the design is a very clever design. It's like an amplifier with an amplifier. It's a Class AB design. So you got the Class A stage generating the output current, small amounts of output current, but you've got the Class B generating large output current in there.
Right.
And it's a very stable amplifier. You know, you can disconnect the speaker cable, you can short them out, it's short circuit protected. You know, the amplifier is just a wonderful amplifier, and it's built like a tank, and it's ultra reliable. And the new ones will be absolutely identical, if not better.
You think just because of its small footprint, you're not going to, get much out of it, just, because your brain goes, oh, that's a small amplifier, but in reality, it's a big sound. It's a beautiful sound. And it does, I ran this for about 8 or 9 hours straight one day. Yeah. And honest, it stayed cool. Yeah. It's a cool runner. It doesn't, you got your heat sinks up here. But I think the design of it, as you were talking about the triples and the way that you guys have designed it to reduce the, distortion, but remain stable, everything seems to be kind of just functioning together. Yeah. Can you kind of talk to me a little bit about the specifications of the 303? Because I know a lot of people out there are going to be wondering, what's the outputage, what's this, and what's that?
Yeah, so, of course I can. The old 303 delivered 45 watts into 8 ohms, where the new one, with a new power supply in there and the new toroidal transformer, we've squeezed it up to 50 watts. Now we've gone for the design. We've changed from the old one 303 had an output capacitor, so it was AC coupled. We've removed that. We've gone for a split rail inside the 303. We've got plus and minus 35 volts with some large 15,000 smoothing capacitors in there. And now, so the 303 now delivers 50 watts into 8 ohms, 70 watts into 4 ohms, and then 140 and 170 if you go to the bridging circuit on there, which is makes it a very powerful. So you can bridge this, so you can make it a very powerful. So this becomes a mono. That becomes a mono. So ideally, if you want to go down the path of two 303s, that's lovely. And also, it delivers 10 amps. So you've got 10 amps available to you for driving most loudspeakers.
Right. So that's 10 amps into difficult loads, right? Yes. So can you explain that? So for like a layman like me, that goes, 10 amps. Well, because most of us work on wattages and stuff like that, and I'm the same. Yeah. But can you explain to the viewers out there what like the 10 amps kind of what that means?
Yeah, it means that it can deliver 10 amps into your load. Basically, that's where you've got to draw down before the output transistors go out of their safe operating temperature. So 10 amps is what you've got. The amplifier basically is short circuit protected, thermal protected, overload protected. So it will safely deliver as a dynamic amplifier of the specification, the RMS specification of the 50 watts. But it also deliver for a crescendo. It might give us, say, 100 watts or whatever for that millisecond into a dynamic setting. But you've got 10 amps available to you, which is more than enough to drive most speakers on the market.
Right.
And especially if you want to go down the bridging route and have two of them and go up to 140 and 170 watts. Which is a lovely amplification. Yeah, very impressive.
It's impressive that you can get 140 watts out of this mono. It's lovely. I mean,
also, sorry to interrupt. Some speakers are obviously dropping down very low in impedance, so the amplifier has to work a lot harder. Hence, why you need the ampage behind it. And obviously, some loads are like very capacitive or inductive, like the ESL, where it can upset amplifiers and make them unstable. But this amplifier is completely stable under all fronts.
So that's one thing that I don't have in my notes, and I should have put in my notes. Was how well does this work with ESLs?
Well, before we come today, we were leaving the 33303 playing it with a pair of 2912s, and the sound was immense. It was unbelievable sound, and that was just one 303 with a 33. So what it would have been with two 303s would have been amazing. But it was driving them the ESLs with no problem at all. The amplifier was cool to touch, and it was a wonderful, engaging sound. And I was finding myself sitting there listening, enjoying it, and it was wonderful experience.
Now, this is a little bit of my own personal, because I got a pair of 63s, ESL 63s.
Yeah.
Do you think it would work better with a mono, or do you think it would sound better with monoed or as a single stereo output? Sorry to ask guys out there, but this is I'm going to pick his brain while he's here.
Fair enough. Well, personally, I don't think you're going to get any disappointment from one 33 or two 303s, you know, because I think that's the thing to try, is to try it with one and see if you like, see if you can get the sound pressure levels that you want for the type of listening music because obviously, you know, everyone plays a different variety of music at different volume levels, have different size rooms, etc., etc. So you might find that some people for their setup require one 303. Other customers might require two 303s, or some speakers are requiring the more wattage that a bridge 303 will deliver. So it's going to be a bit of a mix and match for the customer.
It's just great that it's so versatile.
I can see customers using two 303s. I really can.
I can just see myself using two 303s
so
too.
can
just because. Why not?
Why not?
Exactly. Yeah, why not? Why not?
You know,
Rob, thank you so very much for coming in. Thank you for spending the time with me and the viewers out there.
As a company, we're very excited with this. We're absolutely certain it's going to be a success. We're absolutely certain that you've got to get your orders in early, because there's going to be terrific demand for these, and there's probably going to be a backlog in terms of how many.
I got a feeling there will be.
And hopefully customers will go in with their 33 303s to their dealers, wonderful dealers like Hi-Fi Corn, and trade them in for modern 33 303. I can see that be very, very important as well. But I'd just like to thank Joe for the interview today, and I'd like to thank Ian, the manager of Hi-Fi Corner, for inviting me down. It's been absolutely great to come in and talk about two treasures of the company, and I know they're going to be successful, and I know they're going to be reliable, and I know they're going to be around in another 40, 50 years.
Yeah, no, I mean, the way that the service department can still service most of the products out there that Quad have put out. I can only see these being something of treasured value for at least the remaining time of my life, because as I said, I'm going to put my order in. And for those who have the pleasure of owning these. So Rob, again, thank you so very much. This is Joe with Hi-Fi Corner's YouTube channel. And remember, always enjoy your music.